I'm still in my pajamas, but this just came to me, and about starseeds versus NPCs, and I did not want to lose it. I've learned that if I don't get right to it, then I'm gonna lose momentum, and it's gonna be buried, sucked into the abyss. So here it goes. So I've seen a lot of you asking about how can I tell the difference between an NPC and a star seed or indigo, what's the difference? So NPC is someone who is running on the program. So it's running on the matrix 24/7, and it's being run by the program. So the program controls the NPC. And you, by the end of this video, you're going to be able to look around at your people around you, surroundings, family, friends, work, and you're going to be able to tell who's an NPC and who's not. So star seeds, on the other hand, or indigos, it depends, it depends. Some people talk about like Ayanis and indigo, so it depends what you study, what you believe, but pretty much it's the same. These are souls, these are beings that signed up for a mission. They're here to help humanity, to help bridge. So if you're listening to this, you're one of them. You are a bridge to build, so to help others transform from the old world to the new world where we're heading. Okay, so how and everybody has a different role. So it could be someone just being home and just being in their energy, and they just stay high frequency. And there are others who are called to travel and do grid work, like myself, like I've been on the road since I was born. So there's other ones, are being called in specific spots on the planet to do ley lines, healings, and different working with the earth, working with the land. And this could be, it doesn't have to look like crossing continents or traveling different countries. This literally could be you get a detour, so you get rerouted. So let's say you're heading to work, and then a road is closed, or your exit is closed, and then instead of getting mad or annoyed, you realize, let's find another route. And then you find out you're derailed for like 30 minutes or an hour into these neighborhoods or into these areas. And just know that this is not, everything, is by design. It's not an accident, because the land, the energy, the people over there needs you, because you hold keys, you hold frequencies, and you're working with the land, consciously or unconsciously. Okay, so back to NPC versus starseeds or indigos. How do you recognize an NPC? Okay, so I want you to think of taking 25 years. Okay, so I want you to start with yourself. So look at the past 25 years of your life. What have you gone through? What has changed? And I just did this to myself, so I'm laughing. And after I was done with me, I was like going through my friends, my closed circle. And whoa, you know what I mean? We all went through this upheaval in every area. So I'm gonna I'll give you an example for myself. So, oh my God, 25 years. I moved continents multiple times, got married, I got pregnant, issues, with my daughter. Ended up being really, really good, but it wasn't easy. And the marriage was not easy at all. I got divorced, went through a lot of health issues. I'm telling you, like asthma, and then car accident, back injury, pelvic injury, then after being, that kind of was okay. Then diagnosed with autoimmune diseases, one thing after the other. Friendships, like, going through friendships. Like one day I'm really, really close friends with someone, and then months later, or maybe a year later, that fell out, and then new friends come in. So it's like going through these friends. So changes in that area, changes in daily habits, my diet. My God. I was like, how I like people, my partner's like, I can keep up. I'm like, don't even, because it changes so much. As my frequency changes, so does my nutrition. Some days I need to be grounded more. Other days I need to be lighter. So it's constantly refining, always refining. Some, doing constant research, because we've been deceived, right, when it comes to our foods and our products and chemicals and this. Products that I thought they were organic and healthy, used them for 10 years. The latest is with stevia. So I went sugar-free 10 years ago. I switched to stevia, organic, thinking, okay, it's a plant, it's healthy. And then recently doing research, and it messes big time with digestion and stomach. So constant changes with that. Constant changes with living situations, right? Home. So, and what I like, what I don't like. Relationships, of course, many relationships issues. So many changes, constant growth, right? So much change. And when you look so you compare that, and also beliefs. That's another important thing. What do I believe? Who am I? Going deep, going down rabbit holes. So subconscious work, spiritual work, energy work. What's behind the scene? What's the truth? How am I being deceived? Going really, really deep, asking the deep questions. Allergic to small talk, like cannot even, and just like going deeper in the bigger picture, right? So this is what it means by someone being awake and someone being indigo or Yanis or starseed. This is what it means, with the mission. Now, let's compare that with an NPC. So I went through this for myself, and I went through this in my mind with my close people, and then I went through this with NPCs that I know. And I took like the past 25 years of each and every one of them. And they all pretty much look the same. So let's say they got married or were married, got a house, or were they already living in the house, got a couple of kids, or maybe they already had kids, and improved in their work, right? So some, like improved, they climbed the ladder, improved, savings, and pretty much they live in the same house, okay? Maybe moved once, and they have the same friends never change, the same friends groups. They do the same thing every single day. Get up, go to work, the same foods pretty much, the same routine, Monday to Friday. Then the weekend comes and they go out, they do their errands, they clean, maybe, I don't know. But it's every day, every week, it looks the same. Then that week becomes the month, and that month after month becomes the year. And the year become years, okay? 5 years pass, 10 years pass, 20 years pass, and they have the same habits and the same traditions, the same routines. So they get together with their friends for Christmas. They do their tradition for birthdays. They travel to the same destinations maybe, or see what I mean? So nothing changes, nothing major changes. It's the same. They don't talk about, their conversations are not deep. They don't question authority. They don't question the narrative. They go along. They follow, they're rule followers. They do what the doctor tells them. They do what the teacher tells them. They don't question. I'm not saying, you be out there and break the law, or, just cause trouble, but question. So from the very beginning, they always do what they're told. They follow, and they don't question. They don't question, that's a little bit strange. Let me ask, about this. Let me just go deeper. No. And their conversations are gonna be shallow. So they're gonna be about the weather, the cooking, the cleaning, the children. They're always gonna be the same, even when they meet their friends. Okay, they're gonna complain about stuff, like the news and this and current events, politics. So they do watch the news. The sports, they're just busy watching games and sports. They're very distracted by all this stuff. Okay, it's the same. So history repeats itself. So it's the same, like the Romans give them games and bread or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember the exact. And they just keep the people distracted. Same thing is happening. Just give them the World Cup and the football, all that TV, and they're just in a trance. They're in the program. So that is the difference. So the difference is the program. So the program, the matrix, is running them on a daily basis, versus starseeds, or Yanis, the bridge helpers, crossers, what do you call it? The ones who are here to help build new Earth, to be the space holder, the grid workers. They're the opposites. They control their lives. They're not being controlled. They broke free. They are aware. They know the truth. They've got tools. They spend more time in nature. They're grounded. Now, it doesn't mean they have an easier life or they're more special. Far from it. It's actually the opposite. They, like I said, look at all the upheaval the past 25 years. And that is by design. So why are starseeds, Yanis, why do they have a harder life versus NPCs? NPCs, way easier life, way more simple. Just stay in the program and you'll be supplied, provided with, everything is easy, everything is smooth. And then the opposite, being a starseed and a grid worker, you're going to be challenged, of course, in every area. But that's because you're being prepared. You're being refined. You're building resilience. You're building resistance. You're getting stronger, because if you don't go through these, you're not gonna, how are you gonna be prepared? How are you gonna become strong and wise, right? I'm not saying, it's good to suffer and all that. It's just we all had to go through all that. Now, the good news is that the split is just becoming more and more and more obvious. And I believe that by 2031, then it's just gonna be it. So it's kind of like you're either awake and doing the deep work and getting aligned, because it's a frequency, it's an energy thing, with New Earth, or you're not, you're on the opposite and you just stay asleep. And I believe, I don't know, could be wrong, that it's going to be harder by 2030 to cross. So it's like right now the bridge is open and you've got opportunities, there's tools, there are people, there are just, opportunities, right? Ways of getting to the other side, of crossing to New Earth. But we all have free will, but then by 2030, it's just, I don't know, the way I see it ahead and the way I feel, and because of Agenda 2030, I feel like the bridge is not going to be there. And I don't know, maybe you have to jump cliffs without the bridge, I don't know. It's just going to be hard, way harder. And that's my feeling. That's what I'm being shown. So it's like, and it's not fear. Okay, it's not scare tactic. It's more like, hey, just prepare. And everything is gonna be fine. Far from being fear, we've done this many times. Everybody can feel like another reset is over, is coming, and we're in it. Okay, we're in this shift, we're in this change. A lot of people feel it, they just might not understand, but we are in a reset. It's way overdue. I mean, just look around, look at all the chaos, look who's running this world, look shit show. It's time. And on a soul level, our nervous system feels it, and that's why we get like this, like, what is going on? It's like, it feels like limbo, like one foot is here, the other foot is there's like a split, there's this uncertainty. It's like, I don't resonate with my old self, but I don't know where I'm heading, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This is why. And we're being called to trust the process, have faith. We don't have all the answers, just we have to rely on faith. We are being taken care of. We are being provided. We are being supported. There is absolutely no way that we're doing this alone. I said this many times, and I take my story into consideration. I've gone through so many death and rebirths, so many rock bottoms with health or homeless, no money, no food, that it always, no matter what it looked like, it always felt that I was being supported, even though it didn't look like that on the outside, internally, because there's absolutely no way we can do this alone. There is this higher being, the creator, guides, whatever you believe in, our angels, soul that they're always there with us to support us on this mission. And that's my belief. And I always felt that since I was a kid. And looking back, always wandering around and just traveling at a young age by myself. And like, we didn't have cell phones at the time. Just being in the middle of Europe, like nobody even knows where I am. And I just always felt the presence that I'm being guided and protected and supported. And when I have this type of conversation with my close people, my partner and just close friends, others, right? They all say the same thing. Everybody, they all say, I should be dead. The amount of times they got hurt or accidents and health issues, and what they have survived, what they have been put through, what they went through. It's like now being out of it, right? Years later, we look back, we're like, whoa, yeah, there was a divine intervention and we were being helped and supported. So just know that you have a team. So you've got your soul family on the planet, right? Like there are others, and we're all spread out strategically. It's a spiritual war, the art of war. There's a strategy. We can't all be at the same. We got to keep the balance of this planet, the grid work, right? And 2020, it was a great shift for this because it brought us together online, right? Thank God. We started finding each other and connecting through social media, which is great. And then started like traveling and you're finding the others. So just know you're not alone, especially if you just waking up and going through this. This is new to you. You are not alone. There are others. I promise there are others, close by, and it the way the way you recognize is conversations. Okay, it's funny because it's like when I'm traveling or I go somewhere and then somebody starts speaking my language. We all get excited because we're like, oh, you know about that? You know about that rabbit hole? It's like you're my people, right? So it's all good. It's all gonna work out. No fear, okay? No fear. And just remember what you focus on, what you're focusing on every day is what's going to manifest in your reality. So think of a projection. So what are you playing? Think of a radio station. What music are you listening to? If you're gonna focus on fear, it's gonna be the end of the world and all that's what you're gonna witness. That's what you're gonna see. But if you focus on building, we are in a transition from an old world to a new world. And what is it gonna look like, right? What does it look like? What does it feel? That's where you will witness others, abundance of food and good stuff, So you have a choice. Just decide what you want. Decide on a daily basis what radio station you're tuning in. Is it fear, which stands for false evidence appearing real, or is it love? That's the only two energies that we have, that we get to choose. Everything else falls under that category. So you've got love versus fear. You've got love, which is the creator's energy, versus fear, which is the negative energy. And then everything falls under one of those categories. So you've got, peace, happiness, abundance, joy, right? That's the love. And then you've got resentment, you've got hate, you've got resistance, like all these rage, those are going to be part of the fear family, right? So you get to choose, and that's how the split happens, by choosing love versus fear. That's how it's happening. That's how it's going to be. And then like by 2030, the ones who choose love and building the new earth are going to be on that side. And then the ones who choose fear and war and fight and all the negative energy, they're going to be on that side. So that's how I see it. That's how I believe. I know there are others. You have to use discernment. Okay, so I'm not here to tell you, yeah, this is right. This is like follow me, or no. I want you, because to get me where I am today, I've studied a lot of philosophy, a lot of different religions and beliefs, and I never stop. I'm a life path 7. So I am, as a student for life, and I'm also always balancing intuition, spirituality, with logic, because we need both. We need both forms of intelligence. Okay, people will say, oh, you gotta drop the ego. No, the ego is not the issue. You need the ego to stay alive, to survive, to use discernment. It's not letting the ego run you and rule you. That's the difference. But you need both logic and both intuition. That's why they're 50-50. That's why they're equal. That's why our brain is equal, left brain and right brain. I just happened, because of my specific mission, to be born like that with the Life Path 7. So I can research, question everything, feel everything, getting these downloads, messages, right? And then assess and study and research and experiment and collect data. So I didn't get to where I am because somebody said so or somebody told me. No, not at all. I take what resonates from someone comes in, and then I feel it and I research and examine, and then I might not resonate anymore. And things are moving really fast these days. So question everything, question everyone. You need to discern, okay? I'm not saying be paranoid. Don't go from to that end. You gotta stay grounded, because you would end up being paranoid. There's just still a lot out there. So balancing being in your body, staying grounded every single day, taking care of your body is gonna help you stay aligned and move slow. Okay, I had to learn this. It was super hard for me because ADHD is like my brain is like super fast and all that. So when you slow down, you can take control and you can observe. Okay, that's the other thing. Remember, you're not your thoughts. Thoughts are gonna come in. You have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. You're not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. This is called metacognition. That's for another video. And that's one of my passions, actually, metacognition. Again, this is another thing that we're gonna need to master by 2030, metacognition, because it's part of the agenda where they're going to take more control of people's thoughts. And if you haven't done the work by then you're not going to be able to know the difference between your thoughts and coming in. Again, I have to make another video about that. Running out of time. I think this is it for now. I hope it has helped you, and I look forward for the next one.